A sniper called Stasiak was dishonorably discharged after he shot several civilians. A journalist called Matula was looking for him to ask him about further clarification. The sniper told the journalist that those civilians were the victims of shooting at the wrong targets, which was a common mistake in wars. Matula wasn't satisfied with Stasiak's answer, so he decided to make fake news where Stasiak was described as a killer who loved to commit indiscriminate killing. This news damaged Stasiak's reputation and ruined Stasiak's life. Since then, the military refused to help Stasiak to rebuild his reputation. To take care of this problem, they asked for help from a gangster called Nowak. Nowak was assigned to help the military to silence the journalists. To do this mission, Nowak needed help from a professional hitman called Lulak. Apparently, Lulak was not as violent as he was before because of his old age. After he had been jobless for a long time, he had also lost his ability, so he decided to practice shooting. Lulak returned to his hometown to get a sniper rifle and a suitcase full of money. Unluckily, his neighbor saw him carrying a weapon. His neighbor asked him for some money so she would keep her silence. Even though she was already given 5 billion, she still thought that it was not enough. Lulak was irritated by her, so he chose that neighbor to be his shooting target. Lulak wasn't satisfied with only shooting his neighbor. He continued his shooting practice in the forest. He put some shooting target papers on the trees and shot them. Unfortunately, not a single bullet hit the target. Apparently, his vision was not as clear as it was before. Because his disorder couldn't be cured, he asked Nowak for a new supply of arms. Nowak gave him an assault rifle, the AK-47, and a fake identity so Lulak could practice shooting in military area. Even though Lulak had used an 8x scope, he still failed to hit his target. Because he had no other options, he came to a car wash to meet Stasiak. After Stasiak finished working, Lulak asked him to have a lunch at a fancy restaurant. He asked Stasiak about what actually happened during his military service. Stasiak said that the incident that caused many deaths of the civilians was pure an accident, but since Matula was bribed by a politician, the news about it had been made up exaggeratedly. Because of that, there was no military officer who was willing to help Stasiak regardless of this problem. If Matula didn't get involved in this problem, Stasiak would have received an award or got promoted by now. After Lulak heard that story, he planned to kill Matula for ruining Stasiak's life. After that, he wanted to persuade Stasiak to get back to the military without needing to worry about the fake news that had been made by Matula. Lulak came to a news agency to send a threatening letter to Matula. He managed to lure Matula, who looked pale after reading that letter. Then, Matula left his office because he was afraid. Lulak was following him. When Matula entered an elevator, Lulak killed him immediately. Because of Matula's death, Stasiak became the only person who had been suspected to be Matula's murderer. He was clueless when he was taken to his boss for an interrogation. Even though Stasiak had defended himself, his boss didn't believe him because the military knew that Stasiak had a conflict with the journalist. Instead of explaining any further, Stasiak chose to leave that place. At the same time, Lulak and Nowak were heading to a house of a politician who had bribed Matula. Nowak said that the politician's mistress would come there to sleep with the politician every Saturday night. Then, when the time came, Lulak had to kill his target. It was difficult for Lulak to do his mission because he had lost his shooting ability. Lulak met Stasiak to ask him to help him with his mission. Lulak didn't want to explain his mission in detail because Stasiak might refuse to help him. Unexpectedly, Stasiak agreed to help him so he could get back to the military. He was provided with a nice hotel and daily allowance. After that, Lulak took Stasiak to the military area to test Stasiak's ability. Lulak was amazed by Stasiak's ability because he wasn't that great when he was young. All of Stasiak's shots hit the target. Not only that, Stasiak also shot really fast. Lulak believed that it was the right choice to get Stasiak involved in his mission. After Stasiak finished showing his ability, he was taken home to get some rest. When Stasiak was about to sleep, he was disturbed by a noise of a prostitute who was beaten up. Stasiak couldn't just stand there, he helped that prostitute immediately. After the prostitute was helped by Stasiak, she decided to thank Stasiak by sleeping with him for free. The next day, Nowak met a military officer who hired him. The military officer asked him to kill the politician soon because the election would be held soon. Nowak was afraid when he heard that order because the success of the mission depended on Lulak. Because of that, Nowak took Lulak to an apartment which was located in front of the corrupt politician's residence. He rented a room that was suitable for watching the politician's house. The room was perfect to kill an enemy, but it couldn't silence the noise that came from the gunshot of the sniper. Even though the sniper used a rifle suppressor, the apartment dwellers would stampede if they knew that a sniper shot from that room. Apparently, Nowak had anticipated that problem, so Lulak didn't need to worry. If Lulak failed to do his mission, Nowak would blame the apartment owner who was also the colleague of the corrupt politician. Therefore, Nowak could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Lulak could also relax in doing his mission. Nowak's explanation made Lulak relieved. Lulak was heading home soon to train Stasiak. He took Stasiak to the forest to train him. He was still amazed by Stasiak's great ability. It was normal for Stasiak to have that ability because he had many experiences in the battlefields. After Stasiak finished his training, he and Lulak came to Lulak's house. Lulak asked Stasiak about how he felt when he shot the civilians. Stasiak was annoyed because he had told him that he accidentally killed them, but regardless of the incident, Stasiak was glad because he had shot his target. For this mission, Stasiak doubted himself because he might kill innocent people since Lulak refused to tell him about the purpose of this mission. Eventually, Lulak admitted that he was the one who killed Matula so Stasiak wouldn't be disturbed by silly rumors anymore. After Stasiak heard that, he was very happy that he couldn't stop smiling. Then, they were heading to the apartment. As they arrived there, Lulak told Stasiak to check the room and find a good spot for the execution later. After they found a good spot, Lulak disguised himself as an old man with mustache. Then, he looked around the apartment to find an exit route that they would use after they killed the politician. Lulak disguised himself really well that nobody suspected him. After he found an exit route, he asked Stasiak to go shopping with him. When they were about to leave, Lulak saw Nowak waiting him at the parking area. He told Stasiak to hide quickly because it was dangerous for them if Nowak found out that an outsider got involved in this mission. Nowak didn't know that Lulak had lost his shooting ability that required him to get help from Stasiak. While Stasiak was hiding, Nowak and Lulak went to Lulak's house. Nowak told Lulak to do his mission tonight. This sudden request required the large amount of money, but Nowak told Lulak that he couldn't pay him yet because the officer who hired him hadn't sent him money. Lulak believed Nowak and agreed to accept his offer as long as Nowak promised to pay him when the mission had been done. At night, Lulak and Stasiak came to the apartment separately so nobody would suspect them. After that, they prepared themselves and waited for their target. Not long after that, Lulak saw the politician's mistress sitting in a room. Then, the corrupt politician also came to that room and kissed his mistress passionately. Lulak thought that it wasn't the right moment to kill him because he wanted the politician to enjoy his last moment. After the politician finished having sex, Lulak saw him came out of a room and approached the window. The politician showed his head and smoked a cigarette. Lulak told Stasiak to get his sniper rifle. Then, when nobody noticed them, not only that, Lulak also told Stasiak to kill the mistress. Stasiak thought that the mistress didn't deserve to be killed, so he chose to shoot the TV screen instead. It was Stasiak's weakness that Lulak despised because it caused Stasiak to doubt himself in the mission. Then, they went separately through the exit route that had been prepared by Lulak. Unfortunately, the parking area which was supposed to be used by Lulak to escape was locked, so Lulak had to find another exit route. Finally, he managed to escape and meet Stasiak who had arrived at the car first. The next morning, the news about the death of the corrupt politician were broadcasted on TV, so Nowak must have heard about this. Lulak was waiting for Nowak. He prepared a gun under his table in case Nowak didn't pay the money that he had promised. Lulak also cleaned his house and packed his things because he planned to move out of that house. Stasiak also did the same, but he would move back to the military base. When Nowak arrived, they talked about Lulak's payment. Apparently, the payment was postponed again because the officer was traveling abroad. Nowak told Lulak to be patient. Lulak was sick to hear his excuse, so he decided to use a violent way. He told Nowak to call his personal driver because the driver might have some cash. When the driver came, he was about to give his money when he got into a gun battle with Lulak. Stasiak heard the noise and killed Nowak immediately. Lulak was dying because he got shot. Stasiak panicked because of it. Stasiak took Lulak to a hospital immediately, but in the middle of their journey, Lulak finally died. To destroy any evidence, Stasiak threw a sniper rifle and Lulak's body into a river. After that, he rode Lulak's car to the nice hotel that had been rented by Lulak before. He took all of Lulak's belongings in the car trunk. Stasiak was happy to find a suitcase full of money and ammunition. He was glad that he didn't have to work in a car wash anymore even though he didn't get back to the military. He came to the residence of the prostitute whom he met before by using Lulak's car. Turned out, the security at the residence of the prostitute was Lulak's friend. He suspected Stasiak because of the car. Stasiak told him that he borrowed the car from Lulak who had been traveling abroad. Lulak's friend believed him and allowed him to pass. Stasiak met the prostitute and asked her to go to the hotel with him. Stasiak didn't regret his decision to waste some money on her because they had good sex. Not only that, he also asked her to take a vacation in Italy with him. Suddenly, Stasiak remembered that there was a guidebook in Lulak's car. He told the prostitute that he would get that guidebook. Unfortunately, after he took the guidebook, Lulak's friends came and approached him. Stasiak couldn't fight them because he was surrounded by them. Finally, he died there without taking a vacation in Italy with the prostitute.